Hey, what's up everybody? It's Chris with the Rotex Rednecks. Today I'm going to be showing you how to throw this Dalton clutch kit into that Gen 3 Can-Am Outlander. Alright, we got this kit from Monsters of the North up there in Canada. A real good guy by the name of Taryn. This has been helping them up there put on a lot more power to the ground. A lot of people are still trying to figure out these new Gen 3s, so we're kind of helping that we add some weights and some brain power to bring back some more low end to the Gen 3 there. So let me show you how to do this. I think I got a way to do this at home with no special tools needed. So let's see how this goes. First thing we're going to do, remove the seat, set it to the top. As you guys have seen these before, I'm sure. Little lever here, pop that up, snap back. Seen any of my other videos, shows you kind of how to take all this apart. Just going to set that there. And I'm sure you could get this out without taking that off, but I'm going to end up taking this little panel off just to make life easy, because we're going to end up pulling that whole primary out. So to do that, relatively simple. You'll come in here, there'll be a bolt down here and bolt here. This little push pin here, and this whole thing will pull out like that. So grab your 30 mil and a pair of dikes or whatever you need to be able to pull this out. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take either a 30 tip or a 8mm, and we're going to take all of these screws around the belt box off so we can take this cover off. All right, once all your bolts are out, you'll go ahead and give us a wiggle. It'll pop off, revealing those beautiful clutches. All right, I forgot to record this real quick, but the old Gen 2 M8 by 1.25 bolt does work in the secondary of your Gen 3. Push them in, same thing, take the belt off. Really super simple. Now we're going to work on taking this primary off. Our size 22 impact. We'll throw it on here and break this free. Remember that this is a two-stage bolt. So you're going to have to take it out twice. Alright, so stupid me, forgot to push the record button, but all I did was use your standard Can-Am G2 puller. It's the same. You thread it in, threads through, does the same thing. It runs into the bottom of this thing and pops it off. Use a impact. If you can't get it, use bread. That's a cool trick. But anyway, use a puller and pop the primary off, and then we'll take it over to the workbench. Easier. All I did was take a T40 on an impact, and you're going to take out all these guys. Now they are very hard to get out, so make sure you're nice and square on them. This is pressed on here, so it's like you just got to kind of loosen them, take them out one by one. This is definitely the easiest way to do it. Have somebody help you hold it or whatever, but they can be kind of a pain in the butt to do it. And what you'll do is you'll kind of take them all out. As you'll see, it's kind of holding the top of it up. So what you're going to end up doing is you're going to take your primary, you'll thread it in till there's about a 1/4 inch left, and you're going to hold the bottom of the primary with your hand like this, and you're going to smack the top of this with a dead blow so you can get the clutch to separate. I'll have to show this to you guys on another time because I already separated this one. Alright, just to show you guys what I'm doing all of this with, this is just a cheap threaded rod welded to some angle iron on Amazon. You can do the whole job with one of these. If you don't want to use this, you can just kind of go to your hardware store and grab some threaded rod and kind of complete the same thing. As long as you have this little gap that's right here, you can be able to get in there and remove these snap rings that are coming up. So this is really cheap on Amazon though. I'll see if I can find a link and put it in the description, but super easy if you have just this one basic tool. All right, now that cap's off of there, we're going to come over here and we put this back on the threaded rod here. You guys can see I kind of marked the sheaths here to know exactly where they go back together. And now the most important part is, see that little gap right there? Got a little too close, but see that little gap right there? That's the snap ring that holds this spring down and in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we know exactly where that gap is. We're going to put this guy on here, and then we're going to tighten this down till we can gain access to that to be able to pull that snap ring out. Once you pull that snap ring out, you'll slowly back off the nut, relieving the tension of the spring. Because remember, we got to replace that. So What we're going to do is we're going to back this off, take this apart, change the weights, replace the spring, re-squeeze it down, put the snap ring back in there, and we should be good to go. All right, as you guys can see, we threaded that down. Now there's a gap in there, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spread that ring apart, pop that thing out, and then we're slowly going to loosen it, revealing the spring, and hopefully being able to take this clutch apart. As you can see, we are now able to get our spring out of here nice and easy. All right, as you can see, we're going to pull our whole spring out of here. This is what we're going to be replacing with the Dalton one. So we're going to go ahead and set this to the side. I like to put everything on the workbench exactly how it came off. There's that snap ring I was telling you about. That's what holds that down in place. And now we should be able to remember we got our marks here. We'll be able to take this up, revealing our weights. Now we're going to take these weights off, tune them, and put them back in. All right, now what you're going to do is you're going to take your T25, you throw it in here, you'll crack this thing loose, thread this out. I threaded it out about halfway, then I smacked it with the hammer a little bit, just so I can get that pin rolling. And then what you're going to do is you're going to push this pin all the way out, looking just like that, and then the weight comes right out. So go ahead and thread that halfway out, give it a smack to get the pin moving, and then use a punch to push the rest of it out. All right, we are at the point where we have fully disassembled the clutch to what we need to do. The pins have been pulled out. The weights have been removed. They are sitting over here on the workbench along with the screws that held those pins in. So now we're at the point where we can open up the Dalton kit and start to configure the weights for the tire size for that bike right there. Reinstall, reverse the process, and throw it all back together. All right, when you get the kit, you get a bunch of different weights here. You got your all different weights for whatever tire size you're going to be running here. If you were to read the instructions over there, our best option here for the big mud tires that we're running is going to be these copper colored screws. They thread into the hole right there. And then as you'll see, you go ahead and you put them on, thread it in, you'll push the bushing sleeve in, and then you'll tighten it up and lock it up with that retaining screw. I am going to use a little bit of orange Loctite on the weights themselves, so I'll put just a dab on here. I'll tighten that up with our Allen head, and then I will through the pin through, and then I will also put a little bit on here, and I will tighten that up. All pretty self-explanatory. All right, that's kind of hard to be able to do here whenever you're by yourself. So what we ended up having to do is, if you see inside there, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but all of those weights have to go down into those little slots. All 3 slots have to be in. You have to line up all these rollers, and then you also have to find, sorry, let me turn this, the mark to make sure that you put it back on the way it should have been. So long story short, it's kind of a little bit of pain in the butt, and it takes some time, but you got to get your weights in there, drop this outer housing back in, and align it all up at the same time. But it's easy to do. You just kind of got to take your time with it. Don't be in a rush, and it'll all kind of fall right into place. But it is important to make sure that you have all of those down and in there. So now we're going to go into doing the spring install. All right, this is what came with the Dalton kit for that. We have this tan and orange spring right here. It did come with this spacer. This spacer is if you want to have your bike engage at a higher RPM, but I want my throttle to be instantly responsive, so I'm going to keep up with the original black cup and the retaining ring, and then the snap ring. So this is going to be my setup. It'll be this, and then this. If you wanted to, you could use this, like I said, for a bit of a higher RPM engagement. I don't want that, but that's your option. This is for your secondary. This is going to go on the other side of your secondary spring. So we'll get to that when we get to that part. But as you can see, between your Dalton spring and your regular spring, it's quite a bit beefier and quite a bit thicker. So it should really help with what we're trying to do. What we're going to do now is we're going to kind of set this thing over here in our cage, kind of the way we had done it before. Then we're going to set our cup over the top also, And now we're going to use our compression tool, squeeze that down, and reinstall our snap ring. All right, as you guys can see in there, our snap ring is in place. We just had to put it in there and just snap it in. So now we should be able to loosen this up and everything should go snap right back into place. All right, once you go ahead and get that cap on and pretty well snug and tight, go ahead and 24 foot-pounds, as it says in the directions, crisscross like a tire in a star pattern. Go ahead and make sure you get all those at 24 foot-pounds. Remember, like I said, use Loctite on that, and that'll be our last step before we go ahead and install it back on the machine. We are about ready for install. Obviously, we're going to use our little bolt. Make sure that's on the right way. As you realize, that's a concave washer used to hold torque. So make sure it's installed the right way. And then this will come through and it'll thread right through, and then we'll kind of put that into the crank, and then we will torque. I believe it's let's see, 89. Hang on a second. All right, once you get to this step, make sure your washer's facing in the right direction. 89 foot-pounds. As you can see here, this is kind of how I did it. I already torqued mine because it took all my hands to do it, but I wedged a hammer in there to hold the primary in place. Once it was up to 89 foot-pounds, you can go ahead and you can pull this out. It should spring for place. There you go. All right, so that P-drive, primary, springs, weights, everything should be good to go. Now, let's move on to the secondary. All right, that was pretty easy. All right, so you're just going to take your 17 millimeter bolt, take it off. It's not like the old ones where it's going to come out and spring at you. All the springs are contained in here. But what we're going to do is the same way that we just did the other one. We're going to push this down, and you see that snap ring right there? We're going to remove that snap ring and get ready to install that spacer right there. All right, just like I told you guys, I released the clip and we came all the way up. I pull that off. Pull this off. I did use the other side of that Dalton kit that I decided not to use because this cap's a little bit smaller than your primary cap, and that thing doesn't work on it. So I just made up the difference with this. And one thing the kit says to do is make sure the alignment marks to put everything back the exact same way you found it. So I just used a Sharpie and I just drew a line all the way down so I couldn't mess anything up. Now we're going to take this cap off and then we're going to insert our beveled washer. See how it's got a bevel to it, and it's going to drop down inside that cap like that, and we're going to reinstall everything exactly the same way we just took it off. All right, as you guys can see, that snap ring is now installed back in there the exact same way we just took it off. All of our alignment marks are lined up, and we're getting ready to take this back off and get it ready to reinstall on the machine. All right, it is now time to reinstall the secondary. Friendly reminder to all doing this job, you guys have seen the things and the horror stories about the secondaries coming off while the bike's in motion or whatever. This is a one-time use bolt. This bolt actually stretches to hold torque. So you're going to reuse the washer, but you're going to want to use a brand new secondary bolt. Here's your part number right here. If you guys are looking for that, 420-441-485. You'll see it's the exact same thing. It's just that one's been stretched and one hasn't. So take this off, set that to the side, and we're going to use a brand new one. And then how you're going to torque this is you're going to torque it initially to 15 foot-pounds using your torque wrench. Then you're going to mark a line on it, and you're going to flip that line 180 degrees, and that's how you know you're torqued in the right spec. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and I'll kind of show you what it looks like along the way. All right, we just finished torquing it. I just kind of shoved something in here, but I wanted to show you guys what I was talking about. I already got my belt in here stuff, but I forgot to film this. So when it was torqued at 15 foot-pounds, that was our initial line. And as you can see, we had to hold the secondary and then twist the bolt an additional 180 degrees. So that's what that looks like. So now this is completely torqued as per spec for Can-Am. Brand new bolt, should never have to worry about it coming off or anything like that. I have already ran this and started it up. I put a brand new belt on from Can-Am. So I did go forward and backward, and the belt grab from the initial feel is instant. It is almost too fast. It's awesome. It's really, really badass. I can't wait to actually take it out for a little bit of a ride and see how it does. But super impressed so far with the instant grabbing power of it. Obviously, I'm just in my garage. I went forward and backward, but I can definitely tell you there is 100% a difference. So I'm just going to clean this all up real quick, put my belt cover back on for those of you guys that don't do that. Just remember you're supposed to do that in the star pattern, kind of like you do on your other one, like a tire. And then there you go, boom, 62 inch-pounds is the torque spec for the belt cover box. And just don't use an impact on those. It just isn't worth it. You'll strip them out and then you got a whole headache on your hands and you don't want to deal with that. So anyway, really hope this will help you guys out. It was a fun job. It really wasn't that bad, especially now that I've done it. I feel like I could knock this out in 30 to 45 minutes. It's really, really not that bad at all, especially if you got the right tools. The only special thing I had to use was this guy right here, Cayman clutch. You can find them on Amazon. Really, really cheap. All it is a dowel and a thread thing like this, and get you a pair of, these are really cheap. I think I got these at like Harbor Freight or something. Little snap ring pliers, they come in kind of handy. But everything else was pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to give you guys a full review, get to riding it, but I'm pretty impressed so far with the response of the throttle already. And I'm about to tune it. So follow along next video. We're going to tune it, and then we're going to rip it. So cool. Thanks you guys for coming. Appreciate you.